Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're tackling something I think we can all relate to. The blame game.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
We're looking at Chapter 3, Mirror of Accusation, Escaping the Blame Game, from L. Robinson's book, Mastering the Art of Spotting the Top 20 Relationship Red Flags. And our goal today...
Okay, so let's help people spot this red flag.
Yeah, exactly. Spot it and figure out how to deal with it. Sound good?
It's good to me.
Cool. So this chapter really digs deep, doesn't it?
It does. It goes way beyond just like the surface of blaming. Robinson's argument is that blame is actually rooted in, deeper stuff like fear and insecurity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The chapter uses this couple, Laura and Tom, as an example.
Right.
And Tom, he's an aspiring musician.
Okay.
He's always blaming Laura, who, by the way, is a teacher for everything that goes wrong in his life.
Oh, wow.
Like, if he misses rent, Laura's fault. Bad gig, Laura's fault. It's never him.
So classic blame shifting, like you were saying, it's easier to project those insecurities onto someone else instead of, dealing with them.
Right. But Robinson makes it really clear that this kind of behavior, it's toxic. It just destroys relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Isn't there a place for blame in a relationship? I mean, don't we need it to, hold each other accountable?
That is a really good question. And that's where things get tricky, right? The line between healthy accountability and toxic blame can be blurry.
Yeah.
Accountability is about understanding, what you did, how it impacted other people, and owning it.
Okay, yeah.
But blame is about making the other person feel bad or like they aren't enough.
So it's really about the intent.
Exactly. And the book actually defines blame as an attempt to avoid responsibility. It's about making the other person the problem.
Right, making them the problem, not the action. Which brings us to those red flags.
Yes.
Avoiding accountability.
Yes.
Shifting the blame.
Yeah.
And refusing to apologize.
You got it. Those are the big ones.
Can you give us some real life examples of what these red flags look like in action?
Sure. Okay. Imagine you're always late meeting up with a friend.
Uh-huh.
And every time, instead of just saying, hey, sorry, I'm late, you blame traffic or, I don't know, your boss for keeping you late.
Right. Or you blame your friend for not reminding you.
Exactly. That's avoiding accountability and shifting blame. You're not owning your part.
It's so true. I have a friend. Well, actually, let's be honest. We've all been that person at some point, haven't we? It's tough to admit when we mess up.
Totally. We're all human. But that's why it's so important to develop self-awareness,
Oh, absolutely.
Start to notice when you're getting defensive and try to choose a different response.
Great advice. So back to Laura and Tom.
Right.
How did Laura deal with Tom always blaming her for everything? It couldn't have been easy.
No, not at all. But Robinson actually says, and I'm quoting here, Laura realized she couldn't change Tom, but she could change how she reacted.
Oh, interesting.
And that's huge. That shift in her mindset is so important. And from there, she started encouraging Tom to step up and take ownership of his actions.
Okay, so how did she do that?
Yeah.
How did she encourage him to take responsibility without making him feel blamed?
She started using I statements, like I feel hurt when, instead of you always.
Oh, that's smart.
Right. It takes the sting out and lowers the defensiveness.
Oh, yeah.
And she also focused on building a sense of mutual support.
Okay.
It wasn't about Laura versus Tom anymore. They were on the same team.
I love that. It's like, united we stand, divided we fall.
Exactly. But I know what you're thinking.
What am I thinking?
What about those situations where someone just won't stop blaming you no matter what you do?
Yeah, exactly. What do you do then?
Well, that's where those communication strategies that Robinson talks about come in. Laura and Tom started doing these regular check-ins.
Okay.
Just to address any issues before they became huge blowouts.
That makes sense.
And they also got really clear about their expectations. Like Laura might say, hey, being on time is important to me. Can you try to make an effort with that?
So it's about shifting from accusation to trying to understand each other's perspective. But this blame game thing, it's not just a romantic relationship problem.
All right. You're absolutely right. Robinson argues that blame can poison any relationship, friendships, families, even work dynamics.
Wow. That's a lot to think about.
It is. Think back to a time when you felt personally attacked by someone's blame.
Oof, yeah. I can think of a few.
Right. Robinson calls that projection, and Laura had to learn how to spot it and address it.
This whole conversation has been super eye-opening. It's like I'm seeing all my relationships in a new light.
I know, right? It's powerful stuff.
It is. And, if you take this even further,
Yeah.
think about how blame impacts, society as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
It prevents us from having open, honest conversations. It makes it harder to work together and solve problems.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time for this deep dive. But before we go, is there one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Sure. Here's the challenge. Notice when blame tops up.
Okay.
Not just in other people, but in yourself too.
Yeah.
And ask yourself, how can I shift away from blaming and toward understanding?
That's such a good point. And remember, everyone, you are not alone in this.
Right. We all do it.
We all struggle with the blame game sometimes.
Yeah.
But by recognizing those patterns and using those communication strategies we talked about, we can build healthier and happier relationships
Absolutely.
in all areas of our lives.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us on another deep dive.
See you next time.
See you next time.